Hello and welcome to part 18 of this tutorial on how to create a full-stack website using MongoDB, Express, React, and Node. In this part, we'll continue working on the Edit Image screen. In the index file, import useState and useEffect from React. Import Axios. Bring in the form field component we created. And the classes object. Pass in props. And then pull out match and history. Create an image ID constant and set it to match.params.id. Create a dispatch constant and set it to the useDispatch method. Then import useDispatch and useSelector from React-Redux. Import the update image and get image details actions from the image actions file. And bring in the update image reset constant. Now to bring in the Redux state. Create an image details constant and set it to the useSelector method, where we use an arrow function pointing state to the state.imageDetails. Then destructure from image details, renaming loading to loading image details, and image to current image. Copy those two lines down, renaming image details to image update. Then destructure, renaming success to success update. We'll need some local state that will store as images and change with set images. It will be an empty array to start. We'll use another piece of state to manage the uploading status, which will be false by default. And we'll use some local state for the form, which we store as form state, and change with set form state. It will start as an object, where we set alt to an empty string. In the login screen, we need to copy the form config object, the form elements array, the input changed handler, and the submit handler. Then bring it in right below the form state we just created. In the form config object, remove the password entry. Change the first entry from email to alt. The type to text. And the placeholder to alternative text. In the submit handler, get rid of the dispatch. Back in the login screen, copy the form element and bring it back to the return div. Give the return div a class name of classes.screen_container. I'll copy that class from the home screen CSS file and bring it to the edit screen CSS. Give the form a class name of classes.form. Above the form, add a button that says Go Back. Give it an onClick attribute and set it to the Go Back handler. which we'll need to create. Create a goBack handler arrow function. In the body, call history.push, routing to /login. Right below the button, pass some JSX. If we get loading image details, we'll pass a loading div. Else, we'll return that form. Right above the submit button, add some JSX, where we'll map through the images. Create an arrow function in the parentheses, passing item and index as arguments. Return a div with a class name of classes.imagebox_container. And set the key to index. In there, add an image element. Give it a source of item. Give it some style with a width of 100 pixels. And set the alt to item. Below that, add a delete button. Give it an onClick attribute. With an arrow function, call the image delete handler, passing item as a param. Now right above the submit handler, create an image delete handler arrow function. Right below the JSX mapping through images, add an input element. Set the type to file. Give it an onChange attribute and set it to the upload file handler. Give it a name attribute and set it to images. Create the upload file handler. Below the input element, add some JSX where we check the uploading state. If uploading is true, return a loading div. Above the upload file handler, create an images array constant and set it to an empty array. Create a for loop for each key in the images state. In the body, we'll call imagesArray.push, passing images with an index of key. So whatever is in the images state will now be in the images array. The upload file handler will be asynchronous, so pass async before the arrow function. Pass an E as an argument. In the body, create a file constant and set it to e.target.files with 0 as the index. Create a form data constant, setting it to a new instance of form data. Call formData.append, passing a string of image as the first param and file as the second. Set the uploading state to true. Create a try-catch block. In the try, create a config constant and set it to an object, where we set headers to an object containing a content type of multipart/form data. Below that, we'll get some data from the Axios request. So destructure data from await axios.post. The route will be /API/upload. Then pass in form data and config. Then we'll push data onto the images array. Use set images to set the state to images array. Then set uploading to false. In the catch block, call console.error, passing in the error. Then set uploading to false. For the image delete handler, pass in ID as a param. In the body, create an image index constant and set it to images.indexOf, passing in the ID. Then call images.splice, passing image index and 1 as params. For the submit handler, dispatch the update image action with an object, where we set the underscore ID to image ID, source to images, and alt to formState.alt. And that's it for this part. Thanks for watching.